Yeah, so really nice to see you. And maybe we can start by sharing some wins from past weekend or since last time we check on each other.
Sure. Yes.
Would you
Why
like
don't
to
you go?
start first?
No,
I'll go.
you go first.
Okay. All right. I actually do have some really interesting wins. So yesterday, actually, I went to see the movie Avatar. Okay, and it was the second one. The second one. I don't know if you've seen the no. Okay, it's about to. I haven't had a chance, and the first one's really great. So I thought. And besides, I'm actually a fan of James Cameron, so of what he's doing for the environment and all that. So
Okay.
basically, and the story is actually I made the decision like just that morning because after this is another win. Read a really good book, Soulmate Secret. Actually, listening to the audio book, and it talks about basically you should love yourself like fully first before you can actually find your soulmate. I'm not saying that I don't I haven't found one yet. There are probably some good candidates, but I'm still trying to figure out whether relation can be further improved. And the thing is, so I decided, so I wanted to watch Avatar, for a while. So let me do it. And the basically, I learned very quickly that I have to like rush out of the door, like within 30 minutes, if I were to catch this one last. And I didn't want to drive. I wanted to just ride on public transport. So what happened is I jumped on my bike and took the train, and I went to bus. Okay, so there were all these different vehicles. And at one, it was all smooth until one of the buses did not come. Okay, the Google map thing didn't really work. So I decided, I figure, okay, so there's another bus that I want to catch. So probably it's like 20 minutes from walking. So I started to run towards that. Okay, basically. And I knew that I'm probably going to be like 20 minutes late to the movie, given I missed the expected bus. So I started to run with my bag on my back, and like for maybe like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden this motorist just stopped in front of me. Okay, wearing a helmet and this big bike, and just asked me I want to ride. So in Taiwan we have to wear helmets. It's required by the law. He did not have an extra helmet, but he was kind enough to just and it's a rural place. So I decided to jump on. So I actually rode on his bike. Arrived at the movie theater 5 minutes before the movie start. From a complete stranger, okay, like just out of nowhere. And I have to note that this is not typical in Taiwan. I mean, there's not. I mean, these riding. We don't have that culture here. That this guy was kind enough, and I was bold enough to also jump out on the last minute. So couple of lessons here. One is, first, trust your instinct. So it turned out to be an excellent experience overall. Trust instinct. When you feel something, you want to do it. Okay, even though it doesn't feel like it's the perfect timing. I mean, the Avatar movies I think they're probably going off the theater like soon. So there were just like one or two theater that's still showing. I still went. And then, keep on the principle. I did not want to drive. So I basically took the public transport. That was an experiment. So there were constraints, but then also don't give up. Okay. Like I knew I was going to I thought I was going to miss the movie for at least 20, 30 minutes, but ended up, something entirely different. And, the other thing I felt that's a learning is that, so this is why, you have to believe in your goal, your vision, and also like work fully towards it. When people see you are like making an effort, they want to help. and it will help. Okay, but unless you're already making that effort, I was probably looking pretty bad, you know, wearing a big bag and like running, jogging on some rural highway. You know, that was literally what it looked like, and like probably nobody's doing that. So yeah, all right, so that's a win.
That's an awesome little adventure, that is.
It is an adventure.
It really is an awesome little adventure. Gosh.
Yeah,
that's great.
And I guess there are some good lessons to be learned from that. Yeah, and yeah, so I don't know, and we don't know when, you know, some unexpected help or situation is going to come up. But if you continue on the path, right? If you still continue on the path and you believe that it's right, the goal is worthwhile, I think miracles happen. Yeah, and help appears. So
yeah, I think so. It's interesting how yeah, I mean that's an interesting story, it really is.
Okay, yeah. All right. So all right, I'd like to hear maybe your win from the weekend.
It's not as fun as you hitching rides with motorcyclists.
Okay. No.
And I have a motorbike license as well. So
oh really?
I love riding motorbikes. I haven't gotten a new one yet. So
okay.
But I've just, you know, one day I will buy myself a new motorbike. But there you go. Okay, so look, I'll tell you what. So first things first, in terms of admin, I'm going to leave my phone on because I'm waiting for an engineer who should have turned up at 8. Well, can turn up any time between 8 o'clock and 1 p.m.
Oh, I see. You told me that last time. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So highly unlikely, but just in case.
Okay, sure.
I'll just anyway.
Yeah.
So yesterday, although Sunday is technically a whatchamacallit day, you know, a fully kind of relaxing day. Right? Yeah. That's the word, right? Okay. I do try and do my AMP video and the consequent reflection, and then also think about the week coming ahead. And at the moment, I'm doing my Flow Research Collective study.
Okay.
And yesterday was all about this cycle. So it might be that I could quickly just illustrate what the cycle is to you.
Okay, sure. You'd like to share your screen or?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna let me pop the appropriate thing up on the screen, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you if I can find it quick enough. But of course, is it ever the way that you find what you want straight away? The answer to that question is probably not. And bear with me a second. No. All right, look, I'm not going to find that really quickly, am I?
Okay, or you can just share. I mean, like explain it. It's
yeah, it's a very nice graphic.
Okay.
If you see it, it's really easy to understand. But okay, look. So so you start with. Can you see the whiteboard?
Yes, I can see the whiteboard. Yes. Oh, you want to draw it? Okay.
Yeah, look, it's really simple, but it's easier to do it this way. Okay. So you've got flow,
right,
in this point, right, and then you've got recovery,
right. Okay.
Then you've got struggle.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, it's a cycle.
Then you've got release.
Okay, yes. I think I've seen this framework before. Yeah.
Right, okay. And that's it. It only goes in that direction.
Okay.
And so the point is then that when we're in if you understand where you are in that cycle, then you know what's going to come next, and then you know where you are in that cycle, right? And if you know where you are in that cycle, then you can adjust what you're doing. So there's certain aspects that you can't skip the cycle. You have to go from flow to recovery to struggle to release to flow and so on and so forth. So they were just going through that in a lot of kind of detail yesterday. There were some really interesting points that I took up from that, and so one of them, I'm sure I've heard this before, and it might have been in AMP, I don't know, but you might have heard this as well. But one of them was this whole thing about how when you have a thought or a sensation, there is a moment in time, like a brief moment in time, almost like and he used the word gap, right? And I, of course, went gap and gain, and he went stay in the gap. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Wonder what he means by this. But there's a gap of thought, right? And that's when you either attribute a positive emotion or a negative emotion to the sensation, to the issue, to the challenge, to whatever it is that's helping you. And in fact, if I say issue and challenge, I've already associated it with a negative, right? So there's a gap, a moment in time where you decide, is it happening to me or is it happening for me, right? To use the AMP kind of methodology, right? And once you've done that, that's it. It's stuck. It's stitched indelibly onto the moment, right? So then it goes from sensation to emotion, and the emotion takes a long time to work through the system. So obviously, if we attribute something positive to it, then it elevates us, and if we attribute something negative, it demotivates us. And so there's this whole. So that I found really interesting, right? And I've heard that before. I just can't remember where. But the point is, how do you open that gap for as long a period as possible? And so the whole point about that is practicing mindfulness, effectively meditation. And if you have a healthy body and a healthy mind, then your physiology will impact on your psychology, and you're able to practice a better appreciation of these, of opening that window, so that you can sit there and evaluate where is this positive, how is this positive. And I think that then comes into this whole thing about, is it happening for you or to you? So that for me, now it wasn't news to me, but it was a win in the way that it was explained, and it was a win in the way that I kind of took it up and thought about it. The next win, so I'll only do two, is this flow state here, right, comes from there's a 4-word kind of process, and that is selfless, timeless, effortless, and richness. So
what's the second word after selfless?
Timeless.
Timeless. Okay, I see. Okay, so it became part of it, right? Time stops.
Well, yeah, exactly. You're selfless. So by selfless means that you're so in flow, you're only aware of the flow. So and he gave the example that when he's skiing, if he's in flow and he's skiing down a mountain, he's not aware that he needs to go to the toilet. He's just in flow. That's it. So it's not that you're, and for me, selfless has always meant the opposite of being selfish. Right? So where you're giving as opposed to taking. Right? But in this place, in this context, it's about how you're more aware of the flow than you are of yourself. Timeless, yes, because there's no amount of time. It's just a psychological construct, and you're in the moment with your flow. Effortless is obviously everything becomes so easy.
Right.
And then richness is you have an abundance of ideas, an abundance of creativity, an abundance of moving. And then he said, so you get all of that in flow. And the thing is, some people actually it's natural for us to want to stay in flow all the time. And there's a challenge there. One, it's physiologically impossible, because you have to follow that process there, right? And if you don't, he says the idea that people that sit there and go, I'm always in flow, everything's in flow for me. He goes, well, no, they're psychotic if they're really like that. That's what happens, right? You can't do it. Right? It drains on the system.
Right.
And he said, of those four, and this was interesting, of the selfless, timeless, effortless, richness, there's a kind of a flip side to that, you know, like almost like a dark side.
Okay.
Right? So, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So the idea that you become so involved with the flow state, and so it becomes like almost like a condition that every idea you have is great. And then that's why people start to have really grandiose ideas about themselves. So it's ironic that state of selflessness actually can become a doorway into arrogance and egotism. And he said that's the reason why you see these kind of these people that become almost like evangelical kind of, you know, wannabe prophets. They become Messiah-like, and they have these moments, and they lose themselves really.
Right.
Timeless means then that you think that everything can be done
right.
because you're unaware. Because when you're in flow, everything is possible, and it's just a matter of actioning. But then when you actually come into the reality of the normal world, which isn't in flow, you can become greatly demotivated, because you in flow, you've gone, well, it's going to take me 2 weeks to finish that. Where in reality, it's a 5-year project.
Okay, right.
Because that's the reality of the outside world. Effortless. You kind of, this is really interesting, right? Because you kind of become unwilling to make an effort, because when you're in flow, everything is so easy. It's just like, oh,
I see.
I can do this.
Okay.
Yet, actually, that project that you thought in flow would take you 2 weeks actually is going to take 5 years of hard work. It's not a project that's going to just materialize because you've had the idea and you're going to move. I thought, bloody hell, that's interesting. And then lastly,
richness.
So let me use the richness. You can have new idea after new idea after new idea after new idea.
Okay.
Sorry, somebody's just turned up. Let me just see if it's them. One sec.
All right. So is it all right? I mean,
yeah, he's just sorting himself out. Yeah, it's the right guy, so that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so new idea after new idea after new idea, and he says he was talking about how when Hemingway was in flow, he would finish on a high, deliberately so that when he was in flow, he would go, he wouldn't even finish the word. He would half write a word, because then when he comes back, he's left with an anxiety, a kind of an excitement rather to get back into it. And so that's really interesting. So I think the interesting thing there is like, you know, that he was trying to say that there's a time to cut things off and get on with it. So I just found that really interesting, because the way I want to use flow is I want to use flow to be more creative and stronger and better with the time that I have, and when I'm in now and focused and deliberate. But at the same token, I can see that there's what I didn't appreciate was this kind of, there's another side to it, which is you just get lost in it kind of thing. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
So, but I've got a bunch of questions, and I've got a call with a guy today. But I just thought it's really, really interesting. It's just really, really interesting, because it's the way they work is it's all about the science. Just it's not about the woohoo miffy stuff. It's about and each one of these stages, anyway, each one of those stages, each one of them has a different set of chemicals that stimulate. So they talk about dopamine hits and cortisol and stuff like that. And in fact, this release place here, it's kind of like there's a nitrous, something, and then kind of nitrogen kind of derivative that flushes out all of the stuff that you've had, so that you need that chemical flush, if you like, so that when you go into flow, you can take up all the whatever it is. I can't remember what the proper chemicals are, but you can take up the endorphins or whatever they are, or dopamine or whatever it is. But anyway, so yeah, really interesting.
All right. Okay. So what is, I guess, curious, what's your takeaway from this, knowing the stages and the flip side? Like what's your biggest takeaway from this? Or I
think being aware of the flip side. That's because rather than just assuming that everything can be, bloody marvelous all the time, it's like there's a point at which we need to learn to stop as people. Okay, and if I make it personally, the point at which I know I need to stop. And the challenge that I have is that I probably won't want to stop. I'll always want to go, keep on going. How much more can I squeeze out of this lemon? Right. And I think that's the curious thing, is because you actually no, you don't want to keep squeezing the lemon. You want to actually stop while there's some juice still left in the lemon, so that when you come back to squeeze, there's some more left, right? Or it's replenished itself. So does that concept.
That's good. That's good. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Just I guess something related is I've been having a lot more sleep, 7 hours, and also doing more pondering after I wake up. So actually I've discovered there's two periods where I would have good thinking. One is during jogging, the other is actually right after waking up. So, recently I've been doing some more deeper thinking, and I started to realize that that's actually higher quality thinking. Yeah, probably some flow state, I'm not sure, but yeah. So, all right. So
one second.
Okay.
Dude. Oh. Right, mate. The cold air's coming in. Can I move this out of the way? Is that all right? Oh, sorry.
Okay, all right. So should we start with our 3 hack and finish it?
Yeah. Look, sorry, Shunyun. I spent all of Thursday working on that, and I haven't done anything since.
Okay, so no worries. We can do this together. All right. So let me share my screen, okay, about what's been happening, okay? All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I basically have a look, and what I did was basically look at what we already have so far, and also I have at the bottom of this, I have put down additional notes, okay? That is not yet integrated. I know that not yet integrated. Okay, so these are probably the ones you haven't seen. Starting from one phrase strategy. Okay, so I think this is probably something you already seen. You've seen it already. So let me just put it here. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So these are all some of the notes particularly related to swim lanes, okay, and also chapter 9 together, just some notes, okay, brand promises, things like that. And the other thing I noticed that, so I also have been checking over the, basically these, spreadsheets, okay? And I think this is probably something we might want to discuss and work on, okay? So right now I'm, actually just in the process of reorganizing some of the attribution framework into different categories, okay, which I put down here, as this is kind of a new, I guess, just try to categorize them, okay, the attributes. And right now I'm still, so maybe like one of the thing is we can decide which one of these we want to like focus on, or maybe all of them, because I was actually picking just some criteria. This is the basis for doing the comparison, between the different entities. And also I think I do have, I think C20 also here. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
By the way, does this change the I guess the graph here by default? If I put,
you change the number on there, it will change the graph. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I see. But if I want to add like one more entity, does that or do I have to?
No,
like,
just go click on the graph.
Okay. Oh, click on the graph. Okay.
Can you right click on it?
Oh, right click. Okay.
There'll be a shortcut on the Mac.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. Let me just go to the document.
Okay. All right. I think C20 is something we want here.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So index fund. Okay, index funds. So yeah, I think these are probably some of the compared. So in my notes, I actually do compare this against, let me see, JCF against C20 Vanguard. Okay, so for index fund, the one would be like Vanguard. This is like traditional stock index. And then REIT.
Yeah.
So REIT, they will be some kind of passive funds as well, I guess. Well, actually, index is considered passive. REIT would be something.
That's more crypto.
More actively, yeah, it's more active. And Binance.
But here's the thing,
also,
right?
All right. Right. Go ahead.
So I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
And the challenge that I thought, so when I started off, if you have a look at, if you go to the left-hand side of the page.
Okay, right.
So you see, so those attributes, that fast-moving, specialist knowledge, tech reliant, da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da.
Right.
I did group those as in crypto, traditional, and then charity, right?
Okay.
Because I thought that some of them were applicable to crypto and some of them were applicable to traditional investment.
Okay.
But then what happens is, you've got growth and you've got loss. Both of those are attributes that happen in all markets, right? So capital growth, loss, or return on investment, and that is irrelevant whether or not it's sitting inside a crypto market or a traditional market. It's still one and the same, right?
Right.
So yeah.
So this is why I mean I do feel that we might want to okay, I'm doing this live, but I'm trying to just group into some of the things I deem more relevant. I think we want to make a comparison not just with crypto solution but across the board with
yeah, I agree. I think so too, because I think it's really important that if you're because what you want to do then is you can show that and this is what I thought, this is what I was trying to make this graph show, right? Is that if I put all my money in Binance or some other crypto entity, that's great because I'll hit this, then this, and this, and this. But where's the white space? Where's the white space? Because what we want to do is understand where the white space is in the marketplace, which is what we're filling, and then that's what we talk about. We talk about the white space because that's where everybody else is not. That's where we're unique in our own attributes to get that done. So, do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And that's
right. Okay. So I don't know if you agree with this regrouping. Okay. I'm just regrouping this into different categories. Okay. So this is basically what you've listed on as attribute. And these are categories I have sort of organized from my notes. Okay. So I guess this is, and I do have some other items here. Let me see if I can add them to it. So this is, for example, like, okay, so safety, I have put down, okay, so trustworthy. I have something called asset safety, which is the safety of your assets. Okay, should that be like, you know, like, is that, I don't know, when you put on trustworthy, do you relate that to like brand awareness or like asset safety? You see? Because
no, that's a good point.
And regulated, I can see this as legal risk, right? Legal risk, right? We can put down whether there's legal risk. And capital loss, or is that capital loss, is that the strategy wise, or is it, for example, like assets safety? So I like to break this down, you know, into more, I guess, a granular level. But yeah, so
the challenge with that then is that I did the same, and you have the granular detail, but then your graph becomes massive.
Right. So
the thing is, you're going to have to then consolidate.
Yes, exactly.
What that means into. So perhaps the thing to do then is where we have a full list, and then that full list is segmented into like almost like an attribute catch-all. So trustworthy is the one that we have there, so that we have 8 or about 8 different characteristics or attributes, but of those 8, we could split each one of those down into 4 or 5, 6 different subheadings. Do you see what I mean? So for the purpose of the graph, we have a graph with 8 items.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm still here. I'm just going to turn this heater off and plug in my monitor.
All right. Okay. So you can still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Right. Yeah. I just needed to turn the plug on. That's all.
Create a full list first, and then pick only maybe some of the key elements, the key attributes, to make it into a comparison graph. Okay. And that's actually what I did too on my part, because again, the 80-20 principle, right? We can obviously do a full version, but I think for the time being, for the first draft, probably what's more important is to just identify what are the key ones, okay, and then try to make comparison of them, because this will, one, lessen our workload, and second, will be more clear, for someone who's looking at this in terms of what do you think?
I think your last word went over a microphone, and so I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I was saying that let's make get the full list of attributes first, but then identify the key ones. Okay, so maybe like 5 to 8 key ones, no more than that, and then we can make the comparison. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess trustworthy, when you're talking about trustworthy, what exactly do you have in mind? Are you talking more about the brand, like brand awareness, or about?
I wouldn't call it brand. I don't know. Okay. I don't know whether it is brand or not brand. I don't know,
or whether yeah, I mean, you put a 2 for HSBC, right? It's I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, okay, no, but that's okay, because that was when I was thinking about it from the point of view of if you categorize crypto, right? If you have crypto and then traditional investment, then you've got 2 different numbers for the same thing. So HSBC, a traditional bank, right? A regulated entity in the context of the SEC or the FCA.
Right.
When you look at it in context of, do you trust them with crypto? No, you don't.
Oh,
I mean, if you're a cynic, you wouldn't bloody trust them with your money because they're just printing it anyway. The fact that they're regulated means that it's harder for them to steal it. They just set about different interest rates, and that's the way they milk you, right? If you're that kind of thought process. If you're then saying, so are they trustworthy? You might argue HSB is very trustworthy in a regulated marketplace.
Yes.
But you wouldn't trust them with your crypto.
I see. Okay.
Right? Whereas, would you trust Binance with your crypto? Well, he's a benign dictator that believes he's doing good. Right? But ultimately, he's no different to, well, he is different, but he's capable of making the same mistakes, if we're going to be polite, that Sam Brown, what's his chops did, right?
Yeah, SBF, yeah, Bankman Fried, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you look at JCF, what are we saying? We're not going to make those mistakes. And we're building that into our framework, into our kind of ecology, if you like. Okay. So at a crypto level. But then if you take JCF and you put it into a regulated marketplace in New York on the NASDAQ, wouldn't bloody work, because we're not going to be deemed trustworthy because it's crypto. It's an investment fund. Therefore, and it doesn't follow or the process that allows it to be regulated. It's like, why does JCF Limited, you can't call it Joint Commonwealth Fund Limited, because if you did, in the UK, it would be regulated by the FCA, and it would mean a different thing.
Right. That's right. Okay.
So that's why I think there's a challenge with segmentation when we're crossing different borders. Right.
So that's a really great point. Okay. So I do feel that the answer to this is, I think the answer to this question, to these attributes, also depends on the core customer. Okay, I mean, I think it has to be seen maybe from their perspective, like because otherwise, I fully get, for some people, like traditional banks are not trustworthy. And while for like my I guess my wife, she would consider them much more trustworthy, I guess, than some crypto startups. So
yeah,
so I mean, this is or my parents, right? So this is, I think we have to decide first, okay? And that probably comes back to our core customer. Okay.
Well, so yeah, but no, does it though? I mean, here's the argument, right? Are you trustworthy because you're trustworthy, or are you trustworthy in a certain market?
Right. Okay.
If I'm not trustworthy in markets 1 to 5, but I'm trustworthy in markets 5 to 7.
Okay.
Or 6 to 7. Am I trustworthy?
Right. Okay.
You either, it's an either or. It's a black or white. Otherwise, it's a grey area. And then when would you call trustworthy? So I think the thing is, it's like, what do we deem as being trustworthy? And I think that's, if the subsection of trustworthy is there's a brand you can trust, the capital asset that you have is you can have it back whenever you want, right? There's a guarantee that when we reach I don't know, whatever the dividend ratio is, you'll get a payment. There's there's a set of criteria that we can sit there and say, add those things together, and that's what we deem as being trustworthy.
Right. So in that sense, I think if judging from that, trustworthy, I think might have to be a category of its own, right? And then you see what I'm saying? And then you might have things, including things like, brand awareness, things like that. Okay. And also,
I still don't know what that means.
Right. Okay. So, or the other thing is we might, I don't know, maybe just get rid of trustworthiness, I guess, as a category or attribute, because it might, I guess what I'm trying to say is it might not be easily definable. So, it's something we want to strive for, right? I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, truthful, right? It can be value statement. It can be our core value. Okay, I guess for the sake of comparison and quantification, I guess my main feedback is we want to break it down to something that can be more or less, people will see it and they will agree. Okay, at least for our intended audience, right? I don't know if you make sense.
Well, I think our intended audience, right? We've had some discussion about who that might be.
Right.
And it could be, the point is, it could be anybody from a micro donator at $10 to an institutional at 100 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
There's going to be some elements there that are going to have to hold true throughout the whole of that. It's one of the reasons. So here's the reasons why crypto isn't working at the moment is because it's full of cowboys.
It is.
Right.
Okay.
And they're taking advantage of aspirational desires of people that want to better themselves.
Right.
And they're all kind of leveraging the get rich quick.
Right.
So this is a bit like the Klondike
it is leveraging that. Okay, at the moment.
Yeah. So are we if we want to leverage everybody, then we have to stand to certain principles.
Right. Okay.
And those, if fine, remove trustworthy. I think we should have a list of everything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then that list of everything, we can cherry pick the headlines that we want for the purpose of this graph.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. All right. So probably I have combined my part to this. Okay, as well. I think probably some can be combined. For example, like capital loss. Okay, this is capital loss is okay. I guess it's safety in terms of
It's the risk of capital loss, right?
Right.
So because I think the risk of capital loss is probably better than capital loss, because capital loss is a definite, whereas the risk of it is there's always a risk.
All right.
And I think then that look, yeah. So it depends on the nature of the investment. I mean, I sit there and I put HSB as C as 1, but actually, yeah. Well, I mean, if you put, I think we should remove HSBC as an entity. Oh, but no, then we're not meant to do that. I suppose it's like banks as a whole. You see, people will sit there and say, well, if I put my money in the bank up to I don't know, £80,000 or $250,000 or whatever the insurance rate scheme is in the country that you live in, then you would have an insurance policy for that amount of money for that in that account.
So I think we want to, I guess, finance is like crypto exchange, right? Also the category of and then okay. So yeah. All right. So that I think that's look at the attributes first. And okay, so I think that once I added our user interface, user experience, and also impact from range of options, that might be compared maybe with social impact. I think maybe this is combinable. Level of automation, this means like, I guess, how easy it is. Okay, whether this is fairly easy to do, or you still have to do a fair amount of manual stuff in order to make something impactful. I think for traditional instruments, making an impact with your financial instrument, it's like, I guess it's two different things. You can donate with credit card, right? That kind of, and whether
but that's a separate. Well, if you donate with your credit card, that's a separate action that you take. It's got nothing to do with the investment.
Right. Exactly. And also accountability. Whether the impact is being measured, and being accountable. I think that's okay.
Yeah. So, what does demoable mean?
Okay. The idea there is that it's presentable. Okay, so you can like clearly see the impact of your action or.
I think if you then put accountable, that actually that works.
Yeah. Okay. Accountable. Yeah. Sure. All right. So I guess anyone's to be combined. It's
Well, I thought, safety, risk of capital loss. For me, I suppose that's a safety thing, but it also is an investment thing. It's
right. So maybe we should separate
the risk of
investment strategy.
I think risk of capital loss should sit in investment.
Okay.
Asset safety, that stays in safety.
Okay. That is basically whether the institution can keep your assets safe from like theft, right, and hacking or things like that.
Yeah.
So that's okay. I put these separate because like system security is more like about things like maybe like accounts, like privacy, right? Like privacy issue, like
yeah. I get it. So, but I mean, the thing is, you take your $100 and you turn that into 100 tokens, and then those 100 tokens you can have back at $100. And I think that's the thing. It's like the question I asked is what if it goes up or goes down? I mean, you've still got the assets there to give them back $100, right? Or is that? Oh, I missed something.
Okay. Yeah. Asset safety is related to whether for example, the assets might be stolen, hacked, or in the case for in the past. I mean, various incidents have happened to crypto exchange or wallets, right? But it can also be lost due to, let's say, the founder dies. Okay, I think one of the Canadian exchange, and the private key was basically, like nobody knows, and that again, that's loss of your capital. So but I mean, obviously, you can lose your money different ways, right? So this is why I think separating these different aspects. I guess for crypto assets, the asset safety part comes, okay, so maybe I think it's called keyman risk. Okay, so keyman risk and also hacking risk. Okay, maybe more specific. Okay. And I think for banks, banks typically, these are, and for example, like banks, they have insurance, right? That also makes their, I think the degree of asset safety higher. I will actually consider like traditional banks currently, they probably grade better in the asset safety aspect, right? Like you cannot just steal from a bank that easy, right? There are a lot of, I guess, a lot of the checks and balances that's in place.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so trustworthy, still have it, or
You seem to want to get rid of it, so I mean, I don't care.
okay, all right. So
I think I mean, like for me, I think it's important, but
okay.
you know, I don't.
I think that's
I don't know that I necessarily know
that,
why it's important. It's just a concept. It's just a sense.
okay. All right. I think keep it for now, and you know, we might find something to more justify. So for ROI growth, that is and return of capital. Is that related to asset safety? When you wrote the return of capital, because ROI.
No, it means no. So it's two different things. So ROI is the growth, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's the investment growth.
Right.
So we're paying dividends on profit, right?
Right. Okay.
That's ROI.
Right.
Return
okay.
of capital is the distinction that we're not a Ponzi scheme. At any point in time, when you ask to get the money out, you know, you've got 100 tokens and you want 100 tokens worth of USDT or US dollars, we'll give you that.
I see.
Relative to what the value of the fund is.
So
you know, if the fund
actually considered it as part of safety. What do you think? I wrote down it's assets backed. What, right? Is that what you're saying? Like you can withdraw anytime, right?
Yeah, you can withdraw anytime.
Right. Okay. I would say this is. So, yeah, maybe this is.
Oh, put it in safety then. If you want to put it in safety, then let's have it in there. I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So risk of capital lost. So this is, I would say this is maybe like more related to the investment strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, accredited investor, advisor.
I mean, this is having people like IFAs and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
We don't have them, but the normal market does.
Okay.
And and in fact, part of the regulations is that you should have some form of investor that.
I see. Okay. So
or some form of advisor.
Would that be part of? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say the government and the regulators say that you have to have an independent advisor because you're too stupid to understand it yourself.
Okay.
And in some contexts, they're right, but for somebody who's got some level of experience, and that's not necessarily the case.
So I'm thinking this is probably better in the safety category. What do you think?
In the what? Sorry.
Safety category.
No. Why?
No?
Why would it? It's not a safety thing, is it? It's a regulatory thing for investors.
Okay. All right.
But
okay. All right. So you think it's related to the investment aspect? Okay. All right. Okay. So user interface. Sorry, user experience. I have onboarding, invest, withdraw, invite, refer. What do you think? Any feedback on this?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. For impact, social impact, feeling of well-being, understanding UBI, range of option. Any change or feedback on these?
What's range of options? What does that mean?
Okay, means that you can actually, for example, like donate to different or lots of organizations, whether you have that option. I think the idea is that can you actually contribute to a wide range of impact projects? I think that's the as opposed to, you know, like, for example, you can only, let's say, support certain kind of, like for example, there may be some organizations that allow you to, let's say, donate or make a contribution, right? Like some merchants, they allowed you to actually, if you purchase, they will, let's say, make a donation to this organization, right? So in that sense, they are creating impact as well, but the range is rather limited, right? I think I guess that's the. So for example, like Giving Block probably will have, you know, a wider range of options, something like that.
Okay. It's not. I mean, okay. So it's a feature, right?
Right.
But it's not. I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a feature. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. Yeah.
Or the freedom. I guess it's the freedom of choice for on the part of the donor, I guess, or the gift. Okay. All right. So all right. And then I put these three on the trend crypto part, meaning like how
isn't level of automation a UX thing?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Agree. Yes. I think we can, put that as a UX thing. Yes. All right. I'm just starting to realize, you know, like these are, I mean, just to categorize them is, all right. All right. So
it's a task in its own right, isn't it? I mean,
right,
it's quite interesting how time consuming this is. But at the same token, each stage of this brings greater clarity for the next stage.
Right. It does. All right. So I guess I would suggest we pick just some, you know, from the list as the key ones we like to make comparisons for. Okay. So any thoughts on this? Like we have like over a dozen now.
I think, okay. So one of the reasons why I like trustworthy is because people don't trust crypto.
Okay. The general public. The general public.
The general public, and they're influenced by the banks and the institutions.
Right. The early adopters is trust institutions. So they're the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, the question is, can the position that we want is a JCF is a trustworthy entity.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So that's why I think it's important, because it is one of the, for me, I think it's one of the things that will set us apart.
Okay. But all right.
That's why I felt it was.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it's just that I'm not sure if trustworthy is something that we can put it in its own category, or I mean, is it like a
Okay.
But
Let's
fine.
circle back to that one then.
Okay, let's put it here. Okay, so you like to keep trustworthy. Okay, and anyone else? Let's pick maybe 5. What do you think? 5 to 8 to compare. To me, I think just 5. The most important, 5 most important. What do you think for now?
I think we've got enough to make 8.
Okay, all right. okay. All right, that we can pick 8. So go ahead. Yeah, give your what do you think?
See, you might argue that one there, onboarding, right, can include all of those items.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, if you sit there and you say, onboarding with like a traditional bank, right? For example,
open accounts, right? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if you do that, you would have, it could take 3 to 4 days, weeks even.
Right, exactly.
Some banks.
And a lot of yes.
Right, a lot of messing around. Exactly. Whereas if you're working on if you use something like in the UK, we've got Starling Bank.
Right. Okay.
It's like set up within hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very simple.
Right. Exactly.
But I suppose maybe to use, I don't know if it's experience is better. But I just think that if we have one word that will illustrate all of those elements.
Okay, but it is. I think they are somewhat different. Categories, unless
they are. But they are.
Yeah, unless you want to make user experience like a single attribute, for example, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but
that's the thing. What we've got that as the highlight there, and then all of this is that's what we mean by user experience.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So if we sat there and we go, okay, so the way in which we would work that is across our criteria at the top here, whatever they are, out of all of these, then we would answer each one of these relative to that and give an average, and the average would be the score that we put for that.
I see. Okay. Yes. That's something
that would be the fairest way of working it out, wouldn't it?
Right. That's right. And okay, yeah, but for now, I think that's pick. Okay, let's pick what are, I guess, 8 for example, you feel the most important.
Well, okay, but that's the solution that gives you if you make an average of all of those outcomes and you use that, that's 1. So then you'd have 1, for argument's sake, you would have 1, 2,
okay,
right?
All right. So
and indeed, if you wanted to do it like that, actually, you could sit there and you go safety, investment, UX, impact, cryptocurrency. You could then have all of these subcategories, have a sum and average for all of them, and then just use the sum and average.
Okay. I see. Okay.
And then you've distilled all of that into 5 different categories, and you've got your 5 categories rather than your 8.
Right.
However,
right.
I think having 8. Well, how many? Okay, look, I don't know actually. How many did she have in the book? She said 5 to 8, didn't she?
Right.
But in the book,
right.
How many did she use?
That's right. 5 to 8. That's why I think we should probably pick. Well, I think these are also should be like key benefits, right? Key benefits that are your core customers, your ideal clients, they would care about, right? probably that's a better, because then we can know like what are the attributes that are actually relevant to our core customers.
Yeah, she's got 7.
Okay. Right. You want to list as examples, right?
Well, 20. What in here?
Right.
So she's got 24/7 service, reseller program,
Right.
setup, multi-currency,
Right.
back office,
Right.
POS integration, merchant accounts.
Right.
And their white space was no, wait a minute. Power data is the red line.
Right. So I think these are all very specific features or benefits that are relevant to your core customers, right? Which are the small, medium-sized merchants who might want payment solutions, right?
Was it though? That wasn't. She was talking about the market. How you can position your company to serve the needs of your core customer. You've already established that you can't compete actively alone. Serve the broad needs of a few customers, serve some needs of many customers, serve many needs for many customers in specific markets. So your white space and marketplace. Find your most profitable dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up on. I mean, I've read it a few times now, but.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, what do you think? What should we pick? What's her pick? Or.
Well, it's interesting. What do we? If we're making it, what's important for our core customer?
Right.
Then.
So first off, maybe let's pick what's the core customer then. It's I think you have written I mean 2 main categories, right? The 20-something and the 40-something. So what's right?
Next tab along.
Right. I think it's this one. So I guess the first thing is we might want to decide who are our core customers that we want. Right.
Then why don't we do this, right? So if we've got 20 and 40,
right.
Then if we go back to the attribution framework,
right. Okay.
Then we should have 2 of those, one for the 20s and one for the 40s.
Right. Exactly. But I guess what I like to do now is how about let's pick one first to focus on the
okay, I think the first one to choose then is the 40. And the reason why I say that is the 40 has a higher level of disposable income than the 20.
Excellent. Fully agree. We should serve the more the wealthier clients first. It's all right. So that's pick the attribution framework, right? Given the I think given the 40s, so these are we can review quickly. They have more disposable incomes. They like to make long-term ROI, right? And they are aiming to create a legacy, right? And they might have concern about crypto being too volatile and unstable. All right, so with that core customer in mind, what are the 8 attributes? Make her pick. Or you want to maybe like have 1 minute? We can each make our own pick and then merge. What do you think? Maybe
it's 9:30.
Okay.
Can we touch on this tomorrow?
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So
Is that all right?
yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Yes. Okay. So I will make my pick, and well, feel free to continue. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it might be easier if you know, for whichever one you want. Wrong page. Sorry. For whichever one you want, just going in and highlighting, for argument's sake, with a color code.
Okay, sure.
That might be the way to do it.
Okay, sure.
And
All
then,
right.
but that's just, you know.
All right.
Just a
so
suggestion.
Maybe have a minute to wrap up. What's the I guess a quick experience analysis? What's good? What's to be something? What's good? Something not so good? Something to improve with today's session? Yeah.
I think the timing for today was just a little bit off because of I'm a bit distracted. What was good is, I think, what we did and how we went into the detail, and I think that's really interesting.
Okay.
Because the more we focus in, the better the clearer things become. So
right, clarity.
I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So anything to improve? I guess. What do you think from today's experience?
No, I think we did pretty well today. Perhaps a little bit more focused tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So for me, I think it's good that we have the combined versions. I feel that the discussions could have been more focused, and part of that is I guess the learning that is the core customer has to be identified. So I think what's the improved thing is it does have different steps. I mean, the steps from the core customer to the attribution framework, there's a reason for that. And I think by following the steps, that will probably, in the future, that will probably give us more focused discussion. And also, okay, my takeaway. All right, so thanks, Mike. So tomorrow, cool. Same time, 8? Yeah. At your time? Okay, okay, all right, okay. All right, let's do that. So meanwhile, make it a great day. Okay, and hope everything goes well with with your house. Yeah, all right. Take care. Bye.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.